astronomy at the Amherst kitchen table of Hampshire College astronomer Dr. Salman Hameed, Mr. Universe.
Happy birthday, Monte.
Oh, thank you. It was my birthday over the weekend. In astronomical time, it makes no difference. Although, isn't it interesting to think of that every single thing that every person is made up of is as old as the universe, right? So in some ways, I'm 13.8 billion years old.
Yeah, in some ways, I think so. But you're also right. Like in cosmic terms, really does it matter? So, yeah, maybe 13.8 billion years. That's a lot of candles. Just think about it. How many candles you will have to light? But you can use stars.
Yeah.
You can just say 13.8 billion stars that you can light up, and
Blow them all out.
And our galaxy has plenty of those.
Yeah. And given how many stars there are, Mr. Universe, it would be inconceivable, it seems, that there isn't life on a planet around one of those stars. It would even be inconceivable, it seems, that there wouldn't be intelligent life around one of those stars. However, we have zero evidence of that as human beings on this planet, and there is a new report out. The Department of Defense All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office report on the historical record of the U.S. government involvement with unidentified anomalous phenomenon. They're not even calling it unidentified aerial phenomenon anymore. They keep changing this on us. UFO, UAP, they changed the definition of UAP.
And now it's AARO.
What is it?
Well, isn't it AARO, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office that deals with that? So I would say it's AARO. Okay, so a couple of things. And we go through it. We have gone through it many times. And it gets a little... I just want to clarify it again. What you said about the likelihood of life and likelihood of intelligent life. So let me reiterate. Absolutely. Life, I would say, we don't yet have any evidence for life other than the Earth so far. Can there be life elsewhere? This is one of those things that I can bet my house, Earth, galaxy, whatever you want. Yes, okay, the likelihood is very, very high. And the reason is because the elements that we are made up of, those are not rare elements. The conditions where life arose here on Earth, those are not rare conditions. So it's not, and the fact that we have trillions of planets probably, just in the Milky Way galaxy, and there are more than 100 billion galaxies at least, each containing 100 billion stars in our universe that we know of. So the likelihood, even if you say, oh, it's a 1 in a trillion chance, oh yeah, there are plenty of opportunities, right? And so that is not sort of something that you can imagine sort of extremely unlikely. No, life definitely. In fact, the question really is, can we find evidence for life on another planet in our solar system? And even there, I think the likelihood is pretty high. And in fact, I think it would be surprising almost if we do not find life, for example, in the oceans of Europa, simply because the conditions, again, you have the raw material, you have the conditions there. So in my mind, it would be more surprising if there is no life at all over there. But we are talking about microbial life. No, that's not what people are excited about.
They want aliens. They want ET.
That's right. And so there, the things become a little bit more complicated because, of course, we only have one example of sort of of even intelligent life, and depending upon how you define it. So there are more examples of it on Earth. If we think about other primates other than humans, we can talk about whales, we can talk about dolphins, and so on and so forth. So that's a bigger question. Can there be, or is there intelligent life? So again, depending upon how you define it, probably there's intelligent life too. But the thing that we are interested in, or by we I mean Monte, you, that is, are there beings, species out there that have technology that can communicate with us or can travel across stars? And that is really interesting. And since we've been around only for 4.5 billion years, the universe has been around, as you mentioned, your age,
My
Monte,
birthday, 13.8 billion.
13.8 billion years. And so there must be other planets out there which potentially maybe have life and have had enough time, for example, to have evolved maybe for to develop technology and so on and so forth. And there are a lot of assumptions in there because we don't think, I mean, like, that things evolve sort of like, linearly to a purpose. But you can imagine complex life, and given enough time for our human species around, in theory, you could have colonized the galaxy. And again, colonize is a bad word. So I mean,
yes.
in that sense, but sort of like, ability in the next a million years or so to go around. But also, we can also see the complications with that because we may not be around for that long, not the least of it because of climate change and so on and so forth. So there can be catastrophes, nuclear catastrophe, and things like that.
Fermat's paradox. If there is intelligent life, why haven't we encountered it yet? One of the answers to that, we don't have a true one single answer, is that when species become so intelligent that they could travel off of a planet, they inevitably destroy themselves.
Right, and also, I mean, why would they come to us? I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, like, we think, oh, we are so important, but yeah, no, we just may not be. And they're like, hey, this is the, like, obscure, sad little corner of the Milky Way galaxy, and who cares? We just don't want to go there, like, and so that is totally possible. So there can be many different solutions to that. And so the issue is, so far, do we have evidence for that or not? And some people claim, and they have been claiming for a while, that actually we already have evidence for aliens visiting the Earth, and mostly it comes from what are known as UFOs, unidentified flying objects, or unidentified aerial phenomena. And in fact, last year there was even a congressional testimony by David Grush, who was a former intelligence officer, who actually testified that other people within the government has told him, he had not direct evidence, have told him that the government also has, are in possession of extraterrestrial technology and extraterrestrial spacecrafts. And in fact, he even talked about alien bodies, and he said of, like, alien biologic or non-terrestrial biologics, and so on and so forth. So the
Plus,
question,
there was a testimony in front of the Mexican government where allegedly they had a body of an actual space alien.
right, so those things have existed. So and we have talked a lot about it. We're not going to get into it, how from 2017, because of a New York Times article, there has been a lot of interest, and now the Congress has actually authorized, sort of like, or they gave sort of like directive for NASA, for DoD, and for others to actually investigate these claims and report it. So this new report, which is a Department of Defense report, there was another one that came out from NASA's UAP office, which is the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Office, which said they did not find any evidence. And this is the new one that came out March 8th, so very recently. That is from the Department of Defense All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. And this is the report. And so right in the executive summary where they start. So let me just get to the thick of things. Yes, there are aliens. No, that's what they didn't say. Yeah, that would be actually pretty cool. What they said was AARO, so again, this office, found no evidence that any U.S. government investigation, academic sponsored research, or official review panel has confirmed that any sighting of a UAP represented extraterrestrial technology. So this is their top line. Like, that, and they included, I really like the fact, like, that they included academic sponsored research as well. And they actually go on and say that, like, that yes, UAP, you cannot explain all of the unidentified phenomena because a lot of them are just unidentified and those things are there. But they say that they believe that this is mainly due to a lack of data. And if more and or better quality information were available, many of those sightings could be identified as ordinary objects or phenomena. And that is the key thing. I mean, people think, oh, wait a minute, what is that? And if you cannot explain it, it must be sort of like a spacecraft from another civilization. But that is the wrong way in terms of thinking about how science works, because just because we don't know something doesn't mean that it is something. Meaning to say, if we don't know what it is, well, we don't know what it is.
Yeah, don't jump right to aliens.
Right. And in fact, because the claim of aliens is so extraordinary, as Carl Sagan would say, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that is not an extraordinary evidence. I don't understand what it is. Hence, it must be an alien. No, the way it works is there are a lot of reasons why we may not know what something is because we don't have information. And so this report, I actually really liked this report because they actually have a pretty sober view about that, and they also say that when you have more information, there is a correlation. When you have more information, it turns out those are explainable without alien spaceships. And again, for alien spaceships, that has to be the last resort. But it was interesting. And I mean, I would love to be sort of like, listening to the conversations because in this report, because they did have to talk about the claims that there are spaceships that are in possession of the US government and other governments too, by the way, that was the claim. And they explicitly say that AARO found no empirical evidence for claims that the US government and private companies have been reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology. So again, I'm reading from the report, from the executive summary. AARO determined, based on all information provided to date, that claims involving specific people, known locations, technological tests, and documents allegedly involved in or related to the reverse engineering or extraterrestrial technology are inaccurate. And in fact, they go on to actually say that usually this is the same small number of people, a small circle, that actually makes these claims and reconfirms within that claim. So I think that's a pretty, they say that these claims are mostly the result of circular reporting from a group of individuals who believe this to be the case despite the lack of any evidence. So I love it. I think they're very clear cut about these things. I am sure everybody is going to say, well, this is it. Thank you very much. And let's move on to something else.
You think? Will Avi Loeb, the Harvard astrophysicist, move on? Because he's a big part of this too, where he is a smart guy, but he really believes that we have been visited by aliens, and in what feels non-scientific way, multiple times has advocated for things being alien tech without, I think, proper evidence. Now, the other end of this coin could be, it's a big government conspiracy. This is a fake report from the government reporting on itself, doesn't want to tell us the truth about aliens. Maybe Avi Loeb has it right after all.
Well, by the way, so this is exactly what has happened. Because already people who do believe in that have come out and says, well, this is an example of a government cover-up. Because there is no way. So this again goes back to the nature of conspiracy theories. That there is no way to satisfy those who don't want to believe in that.
Right.
And you can always say that, of course, that's exactly what they are going to say if they are covering it up, that there is no evidence. So how are you going to say if there is no evidence, right? So you have to think in terms of that. But again, the issue regarding that is the claims have to be backed by extraordinary evidence, and the likelihood that such a claim has been hidden, it is just such a huge burden on that it's unlikely. So let me come back to Avi Loeb in a second, because he has made claims about, for example, a comet that had come in through the solar system, the first one that we discovered as astronomers, from some other solar system or interstellar. It was not from our own solar system. Normally comets are part of of our own solar system, but this one we knew that it came from another or out of our solar system because of its speed and trajectory, the way it was passing through it. And that's what we knew. It's a very interesting comet, and it was named Oumuamua. And it was thought it's a first time that we had discovered it. Now there's a second one as well. But Avi Loeb claimed that it was an extraterrestrial spacecraft. And that has been hugely controversial because Avi Loeb is not an expert on comets, nor was he part of the team that discovered it and analyzed it and studied it. And that team came up and said, actually, no, that is not the case. It is natural, so on and so forth. But more recently, Avi Loeb had also claimed that there was a meteor, a fireball, a piece of meteoroid that crashed off the coast of Papua New Guinea. And he looked at seismic data. So this had happened in 2014. He tracked the seismic data and claimed that he can actually identify exactly the place where it fell in the ocean. Then he convinced a billionaire, because there are a lot of billionaires and there are a lot of money for billionaires to spend. He convinced a billionaire to actually fund a mission to scrape through the ocean bottom and to find evidence for this alien technology. And he did all of that. And despite most scientists, most astronomers, most geologists saying like, it actually is not the case. And in fact, what he found from the ocean floor, I think actually it's pretty much terrestrial. It's from the Earth. But now, recently, a new paper was just published by Benjamin Fernando. He's a planetary seismologist at Johns Hopkins University. And he actually says, so he does seismology stuff. So one of the things is that you have to know actually what you are within your field, what are the experts are saying, and so on and so forth. And he says actually the seismic data that was used to locate the piece of an asteroid or comet, or not, piece of an asteroid actually that fell into the ocean was from Papua New Guinea, but it was a truck. And how do they know that? Well, because he said they actually analyzed. So there is something to it. Like, they actually did go back in 2014, and the way they looked at it was to look at 2 weeks data of the seismic signals that were coming in. And so first of all, there were hundreds. So unless there were hundreds of these small pieces of rocks, like, crashing into the earth, like, that would be something. But there were hundreds of those. And they actually identified the very specific one in terms of times that was used by Avi Loeb's team to determine that actually fell into the ocean was actually a truck, because that same signal actually went towards one of the hospitals in Papua New Guinea, and they turned around and came back closer. So they said, well, unless that's a spacecraft that is turning around and coming back, no. And so it wasn't. So this is just a great example of how science is done, in the sense that, there are experts in it, and you have to know what you don't know. Right? So this is something that a seismologist, for example, would be a good person to consult in terms of, hey, if I'm using seismic data, what other things might be there? And so, nevertheless, as Monte, you also used Harvard astronomer. Like, we don't use those things for other astronomers, although there are tens of thousands.
I use
of
it for you all the time.
Thank you very much. New Mexico astronomer. So thank you very much. But that's the issue, right? I would love if people want to call, and that's exactly how it gets used. Oh, Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb. Well, yeah, but a lot of Harvard astronomers have been wrong as well. Including, for example, famous one we talked a few weeks ago about Harlow Shapley, for example, about whether the spiral nebulae are part of our galaxy, or are they part of galaxies themselves. Well, he was a Harvard astronomer. So I'm just saying, just because you're there, that is not how science works. The key thing about science is it doesn't matter. You may be Einstein, actual Einstein, and you can be wrong. And so was Einstein was. On multiple occasions, you go like, oh, are you an Einstein and you are wrong? Well, yeah, you can be wrong. And that's the thing about science. For good science, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter which institution you are linked with. It depends on the evidence. And if you are still not happy with this explanation, I would like to call, okay, when it comes up, say Harvard politician, Ron DeSantis, Yale lawyer, Clarence Thomas. Why don't we add those things? And it's like, we may not want to do that. So I would like to do that as well. And so that's the problem with this type of thing, that because, Avi Loeb is considered, his science before was great, and that was good. People actually respect him for that. But when it's not good, I think the criticism should also be equally valid. But the problem is the way press and others treat that. It becomes, oh, Harvard astronomer says that. It doesn't matter if Harvard astronomer says that. Do we have any evidence or not? Pulling back the circle, and this new report actually says, not so much. There is no evidence for UAPs either, and probably there is no evidence so far regarding Oumuamua being an extraterrestrial spacecraft or not. The bar for such an evidence is very high.
You can check out this new report, the Department of Defense All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, a report on the historical record of the U.S. government involvement with unidentified anomalous phenomena. Volume 1 is available now.
Volume 2, cannot wait for it.
Also worth mentioning, in the next couple weeks, we'll be talking a lot about something astronomically incredible, the total solar eclipse, which you're going to go and witness in Texas.
Yes, and you can in this area. There are a lot of opportunities. UMass will be doing things, although it's not total eclipse here in the valley, but a lot of people are going to, for example, Burlington. You can also go to Rochester and Buffalo and those places. So those are all path of totality. But if you are planning, I hope you have already planned, because because there are no reservations left and things like that. But you can still drive, for example, a couple of hours. And I hate to do this, but 95% totality is very, very different from 100% eclipse. I mean, 100% eclipse is just amazing. So if you have a chance, go see it. This may be the last eclipse for a while, I think for a couple of decades at least in the US. So yeah, I'll be going to Dallas just for a day, because or 2 days, because I mean, I think that's the most we could take of being in Dallas. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Do we have people here from Dallas?
I'm not going anywhere for it, and I feel like I'm filled with regret.
I think Burlington. Come on, Fabulous 413 in Burlington.